Before we hit the road on today's discussion, I want to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors. Without their support, this podcast wouldn't be possible. So, a big shout out to our investors, Advanced Training Systems, Averitt, Forward Air, Walmart, XPO Logistics, and the National Transportation Institute. Thank you for your commitment in advancing the trucking community. So, buckle up and get ready for an insightful journey into all things next-gen trucking, your road to the future. Hey, welcome to NGT Talks. Today, I am happy to have two guests with the Federal Motor Safety Carrier Administration, otherwise known as the FMCSA, and they are a division in the Department of Transportation. And I'm happy to have Becky and Nikki on the call. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm going to do quick bios and let you know who these ladies are. So Nikki, she is the Chief Commercial Driver's License Division at the Department of Transportation's FMCSA. She's responsible for highway safety, and she ensures that drivers of large trucks and buses are qualified to operate those vehicles and removes unsafe and unqualified drivers from our highways. Thank you. We appreciate that. Her office does it by developing, administrating, and implementing policies, standards, and procedures, as well as guidelines for the national CDL program. So this is important to our world of trucking, and her office is responsible also for implementing entry-level driver training requirements, ELDT, including the training provider registry. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and was awarded her master's of business administration and master of science and management from the University of Maryland. And then we also have Becky Rehburg, and she is a transportation specialist at the Department of Transportation in the FMCSA. And her journey it began in the medical field, but she quickly realized her passion was for the FMCSA's mission in saving lives and preventing crashes. She wants to save those lives and prevent crashes with large trucks and buses, and that led her to the FMCSA in 2010. She started out as a contract administrative assistant in the agency's Florida division. And she quickly demonstrated her commitment and versatility. So through subsequent contract positions as a safety auditor and a general program analyst, she brought in her expertise and solidified her dedication to the agency. In February 2014, she transitioned to do a full-time safety investigator role. And Becky's commitment to continuous learning led her to new challenges within the CDL division in October of 2023. And she is currently leveraging her extensive experience to contribute to the vital area of the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program and her knowledge within the FMCSA. So, ladies, that was a long intro, but welcome to the show. We are glad to have you today to talk about the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program, a renewed, invigorated focus that we're putting on it. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Lindsey.
So I shared a little bit about your bio, but Nikki, can you just briefly explain to us what you do?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Lindsey, for inviting us. We are so happy to be here. So pleased to share with your audience our work. As Lindsey mentioned, my name is Nikki McDavid, and I'm the Chief of the Commercial Driver's License Division here at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, where safety is our middle name. My office is responsible for the national CDL program, and we set the national standards for training, for testing, and for licensing drivers. So my office ensures that for every driver, there's one license and one driving record. And as Lindsey mentioned, the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program is one of the programs that the CDL Division is responsible for managing. So thank you, Lindsey. I'll turn it back over to you.
And we just thank you because we know what you do is a dedicated work and that you are passionate about what you do in saving lives. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And Becky, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Again, I copy what Nikki said. Thank you for having us here and giving us the opportunity to spread more of the word on the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Program. We are excited to be here. So my name is Becky Rehburg, and I am a transportation specialist within the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And I am the CDL Division's lead on the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program.
All right. Well, we're going to start calling it the SDAP for short because it can be a mouthful. But can you tell our listeners what the program is and how it came to be?
Okay, I'll take that question. And Becky, if you have anything to add, please feel free. Absolutely. The program was required by the bipartisan infrastructure law, and we call it BILL. It required FMCSA to develop a pilot program that allows 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to operate in interstate commerce. And as you know, and our audience knows, that is actually there's a prohibition against that. Our regulations require that you be at least 21 years old to operate in interstate commerce. There are a few exceptions, of course, but generally speaking, it allows 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to operate in interstate commerce. And Becky, if there's anything you would like to add, please feel free.
No, I think that was a great intro for it.
And how did it come to be? Like, how did we say, hey, let's do this pilot program and see if 18-year-olds crossing state lines is better or worse?
Yeah, and that's what the pilot program is all about. We're learning that now as we get the data from the driver. So through BILL, as I mentioned earlier, it required us to do that to implement this program. We issued a Federal Register notice in January of 2022, just letting the public know that this program is available. We set out the standards and the requirements for motor carriers and for drivers. And in June of 2022, we actually started accepting applications from motor carriers. And so that's how we got started. And if Becky wants to add anything, Becky, please feel free.
No.
So it's a pilot, right? So this is just it's a beginning date and an ending date.
Yes.
How much longer do we have for this pilot program?
Sure, I'll take this one. So we have 18 months left. It's scheduled to end November of 2025. So we're almost done with the program. Like Nikki said, it started. We did the Federal Registry notice January of 2022, and then June of 2022 we started taking carrier applications. So we're through about halfway through our 3-year pilot program. And like I said, it'll be ending around November of 2025.
Okay. And so now we have a goal, we have a reinvigorated effort, and that is to get more carriers involved in the program. Is that true?
Yes, we are hoping these last 18 months to kind of revamp it and get it back into the public's knowledge and get more carriers and apprenticeship drivers involved and enrolled in it.
Okay, so I'm a carrier and I'm thinking about wanting to be involved in this program. What do I need to do to be a part of the SDAP?
So I'll take this question, and Becky, if you want to add anything, please feel free. So the first thing you have to do as a motor carrier, you have to make sure you meet the requirements of the program. And I'll just let the audience know just a couple of the things or a few of the things that are required of motor carriers. One, they have to have proper operating authority, right? They have to make sure they have the minimum levels of financial responsibility. They can't have a conditional or unsatisfactory safety rating, and they can't have crash rates, out of service rates, driver out of service rates, or vehicle out of service rates that are above the national average. So those are some of the requirements of a motor carrier to qualify for the program. Once they qualify and once they meet those standards, they can apply to FMCSA.
Okay.
And they do that through. Go ahead.
And then I was going to ask Becky, what are some of the requirements? I think there's a trainer that needs to be involved, and the 18-year-old, there's some requirements for that 18, 19, or 20-year-old as well.
Yeah. So the carrier has to have an experienced driver to participate with the apprentice driver. So really quick, some of the requirements for experienced drivers is they must be at least 26 years old, must have held a CDL for at least 2 years prior to serving as the experienced driver, and have a minimum of 5 years experience in a CMB in interstate commerce. Now, that 5 years does not have to be consecutive, so it doesn't have to be a consecutive 5 years, just an overall 5-year experience in interstate commerce.
Okay, so I am a carrier. I decide that I meet these requirements. My first step then, Nikki, is to go to your website and register. What's that process look like?
Absolutely. So the first thing you would do is go to our website, fmcsa.dot.gov/safe driver. And there you will have the opportunity to actually apply to the program. Our motor carrier application is right there. You just click to apply, complete your information, and then we receive that information and we vet all motor carriers that actually apply to make sure they adhere to the standard that we have created for the program.
What kind of information would I need to have ready for if I'm going to apply for this?
Oh, absolutely. So you have to just certify that you are not high risk. Of course, your name, your address, and all of the basic information, your USDOT number, and then we do the verification from our end for those motor carriers that apply. So we look in our data systems for that.
Gotcha. So they're putting in their basic information, and then you guys are vetting all that basic information.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then how long usually right now is the review process taking to be approved?
And I'll turn it over to Becky.
Thank you. Yeah. So we are committed to reviewing the applications as quickly as possible, but we are dedicated for carriers to review them within 30 days. For driver or apprenticeship applications, we are committed to reviewing those and getting the decision back within 14 days.
Okay. Okay. So the carrier, they apply and then they get accepted. And then the next steps is they have to submit an apprentice into the program. Is that correct?
Yes, that's how it works.
They would have to have the experienced driver approved with us, and then the apprenticeship.
Okay, got it. Gotcha. So, so a carrier, they register, they get the mentor registered and approved, and then the next step for them is to get their apprentice approved. Correct?
Yes.
And are there any overarching things that the apprentice needs to have in place in order to qualify?
Absolutely. So in our Federal Register notice is listed there, all of the standards, and you can find that on our website at the address I provided earlier. But yeah, just high level. An apprentice, they can't have any suspensions, of course, suspensions, revocations, cancellations, or disqualifications for any CDL regulations. And also they can't have any convictions for driving under the influence or refusing an alcohol test or leaving the scene of a crash. So the violations that are listed in our regulations, they can't have any of those on their records within the previous 2 years.
Gotcha. And I think all of that, we thank you for all of that. And that seems like a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like you guys have really updated your website. It's got a lot of information on it, and it's very, I feel like, self-explanatory. You guys have good educational resources that you can print out, and there's just a lot of really good information that you guys have updated your website for this program.
Thank you.
Yeah. And okay, now here's another thing. I'm an apprentice, and I'm like, you know what? And I get these calls, I would say almost once a week, like, hey, or a parent or, a friend of a friend. My 18-year-old just got their CDL and they're having a hard time finding a job. And I also hear, hey, we just graduated 10, 18-year-olds getting their CDL and all of them have a job. I literally heard both of those things last week. I'm having a hard time getting a job for this one student. My kid, they got their CDL. This is what they want to do. They just graduated high school, and I've got 10 graduates. They all have jobs. So I'm one of those one people. I want to be in the SDAP. How do I get connected to getting into an approved carrier?
Absolutely. And Becky, I'll take this. And if you want to add anything, please feel free. So our website, Lindsey, as you mentioned, it's a great resource. If you want to find out about the program, if you want to learn about the approved carriers. So we actually have a list of approved carriers on our website. There's the contact information is there, where they're located, their profile is there. Potential apprentices can actually go to our website, look at all of the companies that have been approved to participate, and call them up. Say, hey, I saw your name on the website. I would love to work for you. I just got my CDL, and I would like to participate in the pilot program. So that would be their first start, going to our website and looking at those approved carriers that are there. Absolutely.
And they can also just Google it, like FMCSA, Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program, companies. And it's like usually the first one that pops up there. So Google is my best friend, right?
Absolutely.
You can even make it shorter. I've learned this through working through the program. Just FMCSA and then the abbreviations, SDAP, SDAP. It pops up. It takes you straight to our homepage when you click on the first link.
Gotcha. Where would we be without Google?
Right.
Makes our life so much easier. Are you going to be creating a map or any interactive ways for somebody who's like a visual person to see locations and maybe where they're located?
I'm going to take this one, Nikki. I'm actually glad you asked this, Lindsey. Yes, we are. We are excited about this new initiative that we're taking on it. We are in the process of creating a interactive map so that it is easier for those who are more of a visual type and want to just say, okay, I'm in Florida. What carrier is in Florida? So we'll have a map that will list all carriers that are either their main location is in Florida or they have a hub or a sister or a terminal in that state as well. So we are currently working on that and looking forward to getting that published soon.
Well, I think that'll be a huge resource for the apprentices. But I also know one of our big needs is for more carriers to apply and to get in the program. And even if it's 3 apprentices for the next 18 months, having that data is still going to help us. Tell me a little bit about the data you're looking for to be able to determine what kind of information are you all looking for as to why you've done this program?
Absolutely. And I'll take the first stab at this, Becky. we are looking at the safety performance of the apprentice. So, and I could just say this, one of the most important things that we're looking at in comparison to the other um, CDL drivers. So these apprentices receive 400 hours worth of training, correct? And then we're looking at the vehicle miles traveled. We're also looking at if they're involved in any crashes, fatalities, injuries, property damage. And we're also looking to see what kind of onboard monitoring system alerts we're receiving, like how many are fast braking, how many apprentices are following too close, how many apprentices are swerving. So we're getting this type of information through the onboard monitoring systems that motor carriers have on their vehicles in order to participate in this program.
That's great. And then from that data you all receive, I'm assuming you're going to be taking that back to the legislative body that approved this and said, hey, here's what we found.
Yes, we have after the apprenticeship program ends in November, we have to submit a report to Congress. And as part of that report, we are going to provide all of the analysis that came about as a result of this. And then, of course, Congress will do what they will with that report, and we'll see what happens after that.
Is there a time frame from when the pilot program is over to when Congress is going to get that report?
Yes, I believe if I recall correctly, it's 1 year after the end of the pilot program.
Okay, gotcha. So then we'll have some time to gather that data and to evaluate it and to see, and then turn it in and see what comes to be, right? See what happens. And I think it will be great data because we want to know these things as we move on as a nation. Is it safe for 18-year-olds to cross state lines before they're 21? So I understand there's been some recent changes into the program. What are those recent changes and how have you seen it impacting applicants?
I will answer the changes, and Becky, she's more involved with the applications that come in, so she'll be able to provide that information for you. So Congress mandated that, you're aware of this, Congress mandated that FMCSA remove 2 requirements. One, the requirement for motor carriers to have inward-facing cameras, and also the requirement that they sign up for the Department of Labor's Registered Apprenticeship Program. And interestingly enough, we're talking today. Today is the day that we actually posted the public for public display, the Federal Register notice that tells the public that these requirements motor carriers no longer have to adhere to, the inward-facing camera and the registered apprenticeship. So today the public is aware, if they weren't already aware, and if they follow our news and our federal registers that are published, they know today on the 14th of May that those requirements have been removed from the program. FMCSA keeps safety at the forefront. So if a motor carrier wants to continue to use inward-facing cameras or add any other safety technologies or strategies, for example, they are free to do so. It's just the FMCSA will not require it.
Yeah, and from my understanding, there are some carriers that are going to enter it now that have committed to their drivers to not have inward-facing cameras for whatever reason, and then those companies already have apprenticeship programs, so they'll take off one and do the other. And there's probably some that have inward-facing cameras, but that don't prefer to have a registered apprenticeship program, so they'll do one and not the other. And then I've talked with carriers who are already in the program, and they are fully, gung-ho about their inward-facing cameras, and they love to have that DOL apprenticeship program and get the support from the Department of Labor. So it'll be interesting to see the mix, and maybe we'll get some other interesting data from the different types of carriers that are in the program.
Absolutely. And I'll turn it over to Becky to answer the second part of your question.
Yeah. So back to what Nikki was saying, those are our minimum requirements. So the carrier absolutely can go above and beyond to give that extra safety. And we appreciate those who do want to take that extra step. So since the Congress update and the removal of the inward-facing camera and the registration with the Department of Labor, we have seen a little bit of an increase. We did have some carriers who were pending the registration with the Department of Labor for the apprenticeship program. So we have reached out to those carriers who were previously pending and invited them back. And hey, this is no longer a requirement. So we have received some feedback from those carriers who have since joined. So we are seeing a little bit of an increase, not anything huge and drastic. It's definitely been manageable, the additions that have come in.
Right, but you're still seeking more. And from my understanding, the process has gotten easier, and they'll get an answer pretty quickly so they can start right away to be able to be a part of the program. So we're really asking for more carriers, and we want a diverse set of carriers too. We'd love some large carriers and some small family owned and medium sized, and hauling different assets. So any type of carrier, if you've thought about it, now is a good time to apply. And we at Next Gen Trucking would love to help any carrier. If you have questions, I would be happy to get on a call and to discuss or connect you with some of our other carrier members that are in the program. And they're loving it because they love getting new, fresh talent to come and work for them. And almost 100% of the apprentices are still with those companies. So it's really neat to see that these young 18, 19-year-olds are finding a true work home to be able to be a part of and to contribute and start their career with. So I think those are some good things. So do you have any suggestions on what a carrier can do to recruit apprentices? Are there any ideas that you have?
We get a lot of, we help a lot as well. So we receive, and Becky can definitely jump in as well. We receive calls, emails, questions from drivers, and we direct them to our website. Hey, these are the carriers that are hiring. Please reach out to them. They are, accepting apprentices because they are approved. And we're also working to, and maybe I'll let Becky talk about this, our approach to reaching those high schoolers. So I'll let Becky talk about that.
Yeah, so we are reaching out to some of the high school counselors and assistants in high schools and doing presentations much like this and giving them information and details on the program. So we're reaching out to them, or the counselors, doing podcasts like this one here that we're enjoying. Lots of new social media items coming out. And that is one thing I would say for carriers who are being accepted into the program. Put it on their social media platforms. Hey, we just got accepted into this program. We're looking for apprentice drivers to participate in this program, and provide them with some of the bullet points, some of the highlight interest for the 18 to 21-year-olds, and just let them know that you're participating, because we know that generation is really big on visual and social media. So putting it out there on social media both for us and for the carrier, it has shown to be very beneficial.
And
Yeah.
Lindsey, I also wanted to add, we're also working with, if we haven't done this already, we're also working with our state driver's licensing agencies, the DMVs across the country. They have asked for inserts to their driver manual. So when a driver opens up the manual to learn about the knowledge you need to get a commercial learner's permit, and studying for that, they'll see a ad about the Safe Driver Apprenticeship program. And also I work with you as well. We've had conversations about ways that we can increase participation. How do we get the word out to the high schoolers? So we thank you for this partnership we are building, and hopefully through that we'll get more drivers into the program.
So I do want to add, and simply because we have had a few carriers in this realm who has been interested in participating, do want to let you know there are exceptions or limits to the program. We cannot do hazmat, and we cannot transport passengers while in the SDAP pilot. So even though some of the 18 to 20-year-olds have those endorsements on their intrastate CDL, under the pilot, they are not allowed to operate using or transporting hazmat or passengers. So just wanted to add that little bit.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I knew that as a part of the program. I didn't realize they could have it as a part of what their license shows, but that can be there. But obviously this is it is no hazmat and no passengers. So another thing that you guys have besides your coloring book and your activity book is your calendar, which is a really cool contest you do for middle school students and elementary students, promotes safety, promotes the nation's highways, and every month has a different picture. And so we promote that contest to school counselors when we go out and talk to groups with the American School Counselors Association, saying, hey, why don't you, use this coloring and activity book, and then also promote this calendar contest for your students. And what a fun activity for a classroom of students to be able to do. So I think some of the career exploration things that you are doing is great, and just letting young people know about the roads and safety and even possible careers out there that could be for their future. So just as one last thing before we go, is there anything else that you all wanted to mention that we haven't talked about so far about the SDAP?
I think from my perspective, I believe that we've covered everything. Great questions, Lindsey. Your questions help us shed a light on this very important and a very important project. Becky, did you have anything?
No, just thank you. And a reminder to visit our website, fmcsa.dot.gov/safe driver. And also, if you have any additional questions, we do have an email that it is monitored. It is safedriver@dot.gov. So if there's any additional questions that we didn't get answered today, please feel free to shoot us an email there, and we'll be glad to get them answered for you.
And we will put that email and the website in the show notes, as well as any resources that we have. Also, feel free to contact us at NextGen, and we'll be glad to either connect you to carriers or help you take steps along the way to get signed up for this great program. So we can really see our 18 to 20-year-olds just as safe as a 23-year-old or 22-year-old that wants to be a professional driver. And I like to tell people who question this, it's really not any 18-year-old that wants to be a professional truck driver. It's somebody that is really wanting to do this. They've wanted to do it for a long time, and they see this opportunity as a great way to get their start as a professional driver in the trucking industry. So Thank you both to Becky and Nikki for all you do. We are so happy to partner with you. The FMCSA does a lot of great things, and you are solely focused on the mission, and we appreciate that mission, and that is to have better carriers, better drivers, safer roads to keep our public safe. So thanks for all you do, and just the passion you have behind this mission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsey.
And we just want to thank our sponsors and members of the Next Generation in Trucking Association. Without you, what we do couldn't be possible. So thank you for helping us on our mission. And feel free to visit our website, nextgentrucking.org, to find out more or how you can be involved.